question of when to clap or not to clap in a classical music concert can be a real nail-biter to all of us who don't regularly go to classical music concerts. A hushed silence is expected by musicians and other more experienced concert-goers up until the very end of what can be a really long piece of music. And yet, the music itself seems to invite applause, and not at all only at the end. To say nothing of jazz or rock concerts where spontaneous applause or even cheers are completely welcome. So what is going on here? Clapping is a universal human gesture. We see it in babies already from the age of 9 months. In ancient Rome, theatre plays would end with an invitation for the audience to clap. And politicians from the same era would use the intensity of clapping as a gauge of their popularity, not dissimilar to our days. Also from ancient Rome come the first documented attempts to influence clapping by hiring people to augment the applause, or the opposite, to hiss and boo at the performance of a rival. Centuries later, this practice, which came to be known as the claque, flourished in the theatres and opera houses of Paris. You could get people not just to clap, but to laugh and cry, or learn the piece by heart and repeat key phrases to the neighbors, all for a specified price. This practice spread from Paris to other cities and from opera houses to concert halls. And then the backlash came. Wagner, Mendelssohn, Mahler, among others, effectively prohibited spontaneous applause at their performances, whether it was real or paid. It was their vision that prevailed to this day. Classical music must remain serious, and applause between movements is frowned upon, to say nothing of exuberant clapping in the middle of a movement. And yet, we know that until the end of the 19th century, some composers expected applause between each movement, or even during a movement if a particularly surprising or exciting passage has been played. Like we do today after a great rock or jazz solo. Music was always supposed to delight us, moving us to an immediate, audible reaction. It is not really within the power of any one of us to change current practices at once. But I personally would love to see a more relaxed attitude towards clapping in classical music. Let's try to bridge the gap between the audiences in the hall and us performers on stage. Let's try to bring back at least some of the spontaneity of concerts from previous centuries. Though, not the claque.